Hey, Pick 3 lottery players. Are you guys having some problems locating some of the hottest numbers on your rundowns? Well, if you are, this could be the video for you. I'm going to share with you exactly how to use a key box strategy that can lock in some really hot numbers. I want to show you exactly where you're going to need to look on your grid. I also want to share with you an alternative pattern without the grid. So you're going to get a 2-for-1 special here. I want to show you where some of the hottest numbers could be, how to select those numbers, and even maybe a time when to play them. Okay, so if you're interested, definitely stay on. Okay. So we're going to take this example from Pick 3 New York. I have a disclaimer. You have to make sure that you practice and play on paper first. I cannot guarantee any results on the channel or in the membership, okay? So if you're out of the state as well, this applies to you as well, okay? So we're going to start with our first example. March 15th in New York, midday, the hit was 655. Now, as you see here, we're using these rundowns. I know people are like, oh, those are a lot of numbers. Well, don't worry. I'm going to show you exactly where you may want to look for some hot numbers, okay? The first thing we have to do is put the grid together. So how do we do that? We have to add each number down the rundowns, okay? So let's start with the first column here. 1 plus 6 is 7. 7 plus 1 is 8. 8 plus 1 is 9. 9 plus 1 is 10. Now, when you get to your 2-digit numbers, only use your ones plus your 0. 0 plus 1 is 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 plus 1 is 3. 3 plus 1 is 4. 4 plus 1 is 5. And 5 plus 1 is 6. You know you did it right because the number you start with will be the number you end with. Okay? Then you would add 2 all the way down the second column, 3 all the way down the third column. I get a lot of people ask me, why do I always count out the rundowns? People should know that, but I have a lot of people that have never played. I always try to go over the basics each and every time, okay? So you have your rundown put together. I want you guys to pay close attention to a key box area. Now, this is not new. I've had videos on this years ago. And shout out to the Pick 3 lottery guy out in South Carolina for pushing the key boxes and getting deeper with the study of them. Really hot stuff, okay? So with that said, your hot box areas on the 1, 2, 3 rundown, okay, are generally on the right side, okay? They're when a mirror and double cross each other. Here we have a 9, 4, and we have a 1, 1. This is what I squared off. That's your key digit, okay? That is, guys, that is your key box area, okay? So whenever you see that, you'll have 2 of them, okay? There is another one, which are your mirrors, 9916, okay? So you do have 2 of them. Let's talk about mirror numbers really quickly, but you're gonna need to know that. I know I said mirror numbers, but people may not know that 9 and 4 is actually the same number. That's what we call them, mirror numbers. So let me give you the other mirror numbers in case you need them, okay? When we're saying mirror numbers, they're the same, they're just opposite, okay? So like a 0 could be a 5 or 5 could be a 0, all right? 1 could be a 6, 6 could be a 1. 2 could be a 7, 7 could be a 2. 3 could be a 8, 8 could be a 3. 4 can be a 9, and a 9 can be a 4. So those are your mirrors, okay? All right. And again, your key box is when doubles and mirrors cross on the right side of the 1, 2, 3 rundown, okay? Now, I used to run away from the key boxes after a certain point because I would pick every other number but what the number played. How many of you guys are experiencing that? Well, I want to share with you a couple of hints for New York that could really help you guys out. The first thing is I want you to do is when you're looking at key boxes, because you're going to see them in every draw. You're going to see them. But there's one thing that's going to separate them from the rest. And this is where you got to start training your eye. Outside the box, we have a V-shape false triple, 994. Sometimes you'll get triples that are slanted, okay? But we're looking for V-shapes. I notice with the V-shapes, there are certain numbers that are just popping off. You will see these key boxes that's why you got to know which ones could be the hottest. And I know some people are like, well, that's not fair. I want something that's going to hit the next draw. You could, but you're going to have to play around with that, okay? All right. So you got this 9-4 that happens to be slanted inside the box. It's also connected to the V shape. Pay close attention to this area, guys, okay? So for New York, that 944, that 9-4 is screaming to me. It's connected to the V shape, okay? And that could be telling me that this and maybe another outside on the left box, one of those numbers could be hot. Now, you may see this number on the left on other parts around it. I want you guys to get familiar with one particular area. That way you don't have too many combinations. Because when I started doing the key box years ago, the problem was, yeah, I'd have two numbers, but that third number, trying to get it and using mirrors, that was a lot of, I couldn't take it more. So anyways, pay attention to the numbers on the side here. Okay, those could be a key area for your third number, okay? So 948, 949. Okay. Now, could they use the 1-1? Absolutely. 118, 119. But there is a little trick that I learned. Okay. Also, look at your mirrors. Now, notice it's going to change here. You see, it starts with the 9-4. But then when they mirror it, after a certain point, all the numbers are just mirror numbers. That's why you got to know what they are. So 9916. Notice how they change. So if we wanted to, we can go 993. Okay. 994. 16. 164. 163. Now, you do not have to play all of those numbers. I'm just giving you suggestions. I know y'all in the comments, oh, Miss Florida, oh, I don't want to play all them numbers. I got you. I'm just trying to give you possibilities. But let me show you what happened, because I got a few more tricks up my sleeves on how you may want to decipher which pairs you want to use, okay? So just stay tuned, okay? These numbers, one of these numbers actually came out. What came out? What came out? The number 984. It did hit the next evening. So it wasn't too bad. Okay? Wasn't too bad. It hit the next evening, March 16th evening. 984. All right? So as you see here, we have the 984 already in yellow. That was our hit. Okay? We put it as 948 written. Here's what I want to share with you, what you want to pay attention. When you're looking at your V shapes, sometimes they can also tell you a date number or a date sum number. That could be telling you what days to play, what days to look out for them, okay? So notice here, I'm going to bring your eye to the date sum. Let's talk about a date sum. In case I have some new folks on here, what is a date sum number? A date sum number is when we add the month and the date together. Hold on, guys. All right, I'm back, y'all. So we're talking about the date sum number. That's when we add the month and the date together. So literally, we have March 16th. We added to the 19th. Okay, 3 plus 6 equals 19. I do these for mine. That helps me know what date some numbers are coming up. Even if you don't have a sheet like this, when you're doing it on paper, I applied the same rules. Always do that, because you want to know ahead what date some number is coming. Okay, that's going to help you guys a lot when you're starting to look for certain numbers to formulate. Okay. So this 9, this is very important, because the triples, the 9, 9, 4, the false triples were actually the date sum number. Okay, so that was your date sum right there, that 9. Okay, make sure you know that. That was the date sum number. Very important. Okay, that's telling you, and it can switch. I'm going to show you it did, but pay attention. Okay, so that 894, it played the next day. Okay, now here's another thing that I noticed. The numbers from the center could be the hottest. Like the 9-4, you see how this 9-4 comes from the center going this way out, center to the right, okay? And both of them do go center to right, but this one goes like center down. I'll say that, center down. Could be something you want to pay attention to. Center down. So the other one, center down, 9-9 could have been something as well. Okay, that's if you want to eliminate some of the numbers. Okay, not saying you should or shouldn't. I want you to practice on paper first. Don't just go start spending the money. They love that. Okay, so that was one. Let me show you again. March 16th now, 665 was the hit in New York. All right, now again, you're going to see key boxes everywhere. However, this key box had false trip V shapes. Very important. Look at that. 944, 944. Okay, so whenever there's a V shape involved, you may want to pay careful attention. I'm not saying that hits won't come out of the other ones. No, they could be patterned differently. So just make sure you're careful with that. I'm not telling you don't look at them. I'm saying with this particular pattern, pay attention. Okay, so again, what is my center down? I see 2-7. Okay, so I'm going to go 2-7, and I'm going to use the 2 outside if possible. I'm trying to eliminate some numbers, but this one is a little not tricky, but I want you to pay attention to mirrors. Okay, so we have a 2-7-9. I'm gonna write that down. We have a 2-7-0, but be careful. You see these 2-7-4s? Isn't that the same? That 4-9, isn't that the same? Okay, that's a mirror number. Write that down as well. Sometimes the hit can be right in the box. Pay attention. If we're using the doubles, okay, I'm going to go center down again. I'm going to go 2-2-9, 2-2-4, and I also have a 4 outside. Then I would go 4-9, 4-9-4, 4-9-5, and if you want to use the inside, 4-9-2. Okay, just some other options. Okay, but again, my thing would be, so you can eliminate numbers, would stick with the center down, which would mean anything with the 2-2 or the 2-7. So I'm going to just highlight those. Okay, all right, well, what happened? This took a few days. Okay, 2-7-4 hit March 19th. 19th. Pay attention to this date number now. Remember I told you, date sums and date numbers can be very important. Okay. Now let's talk about a date sum again. Remember, the date sum is when we added the month and the date together. We use the ones place, that's 9. Okay. The date number, when this 2-7-4 hit, it hit on the 19th. Now we're not using a date sum number. This is where the switching can happen. They can go from a date number to a date sum number. And that's exactly what happened. So that 2-7-4, and it hit right inside the box. Right inside that box. Okay. If I would have just stuck onto the 2-7-9 because I was just paying attention, but if any of these numbers have a mirror inside, pay attention to what's inside the box. See, I wasn't that deep with it when I was doing the key boxes way back when, but it's a different time now. Okay. All right, let me show you one more thing that you need to pay attention to. This is a separate pattern. We're going to go to March 14th. You guys had a hit midday of 199. Okay. Now look at this 212. Pay attention to it. This 212 actually hit a couple days later as 212. Okay, 212 exact looks like. Okay, exact hit. Now pay attention to those doubles. Those doubles were related to the date number. There's a lot of things that are being compared to a date number and date sum, meaning they could tell you possibly when to play these numbers. Okay, so that was one thing, but it happened again. Let me show you here. You guys had March 16th, 1, 2, 3 on that rundown. 665 was the hit. You guys had a 788. It hit a couple days later as 887. All they did was run that number backwards. When you guys are trying to figure out how I'm getting straight numbers and exact hits for our prediction list, you're either running it left to right or right to left sometimes. Sometimes it works. It just depends on the system that you're that's on. Like if I was to try to use these and use a different rundown, I may not get the same result. So again, you have to study. Each rundown can mean something totally different for the state. That's why I like to go and compare too. But pay attention to the 887. Look at the date number. The date number, again, correlation to the actual doubles that hit 8 and 8, because it hit March 18th. Remember, the date number is 8, and that was an 8. The 212, 7 and 2, they're mirror numbers, date numbers. That's a lot of information. Hopefully it didn't overwhelm y'all. But y'all in New York be talking about can't no hits come off these rundowns. That's what y'all be saying in the comments. Can't no hits come out of that. Honey, you done proved that wrong. Yes, it is possible, but you have to study, okay? So, key boxes, double hits coming across. Be on the lookout. Let your date some numbers and date some numbers help you guys out, okay? With that said, I hope this was helpful. Keep your eye on the prize. We'll see y'all on the next video.